Welcome to Fitch Ratings Risk to Watch. Each video in this series will highlight key macro and credit concerns in a sector or region over the next 12 months. I'm Coulton, and today I'll be discussing the Eurozone, and I'm joined by Michele Napolitano, Head of Western European Sovereign Ratings. Our central case forecast is for a gradual slowdown in Eurozone growth from around 2% in 2018 to around 1.5% in 2020. That's as world trade growth slows and the impulse from ECB monetary easing starts to fade. But the risk of a more abrupt slowdown and a sharp rise in market volatility in the Eurozone is one of the key downside risks for the global economy. This risk has been heightened significantly by the rising tensions between the Italian government and the European Commission over fiscal policy. While a wider fiscal deficit in Italy wouldn't be a direct concern from a global macro perspective, the impact of these tensions on confidence could be a much bigger deal. In particular, this could, in a climate of rising populism and Euroscepticism, revive market concerns about an existential threat to the euro, with echoes of the 2012 Eurozone crisis. This could spark much more severe contagion to other countries than seen to date. Now, reduced external imbalances, stronger banking systems, progress in developing ECB and other backstop arrangements are all important mitigants compared to 2012. But the fact is that volatility in an economy the size of Italy could nevertheless be quite problematic. An important context here is the end of ECB asset purchases. As the chart shows, the ECB has been buying bonds at a rate that's far exceeded public sector borrowing in the last 3 years. This has compressed spreads right across the Eurozone and driven down German yields to extremes. As the ECB steps back, there'll be upward pressure on spreads and yields as governments have to tap market funding sources once again to meet their borrowing needs. This could put generalised upward pressure on interest rates, exacerbating contagion from any escalation of tensions in Italy. Financial interlinkages within the Eurozone remain large, including between banks and sovereigns, and the accompanying risk is that Italian fiscal tensions generate a wider increase in financing costs across the entire Eurozone economy.
On the 31st of August, we affirmed Italy's rating at BBB, but reviewed the outlook to negative. The main rationale for the negative outlook was our expectation of fiscal loosening from the current government. This would leave Italy's high level of debt more exposed to potential shocks. We also believe that there are significant downside risks to the government's deficit targets set in the 2019 budget and to our own fiscal forecasts. The rift between the European Commission and the government does not have an impact on the rating per se, but these tensions are resulting in higher funding costs for the Italian sovereign. The cost of new sovereign borrowing has increased significantly since the March elections. If current yields are maintained, funding costs for the private sector will also increase, and that will impact GDP growth and fiscal outturns, and that can have rating implications down the line. If the rift was to lead to rising concerns of so-called Italexit, an exit of Italy from the Eurozone, that could clearly have a significant impact on the rating. But let me be clear here, we continue to see Italy's exit from the euro as highly unlikely. We do not believe this is an objective of the government and think there is an understanding that this would create severe economic and financial consequences. The presence of such downside risks could lead to persistently higher sovereign spreads even in the absence of any materialization of the risk. Given the size of the Italian economy and its systemic importance to the euro, increasing risks of Italexit would in turn increase risks to the stability of the euro more generally, with resulting contagion likely to disproportionately affect those Eurozone sovereigns with weaker credit fundamentals and/or their own Eurosceptic political pressures. More broadly, politics remains Europe's Achilles heel. In Fitch's view, no Eurozone reform or architectural structure can prevent a country from adopting policies that are incompatible with monetary union membership. Were a country to operate such policies and then lose market access, Fitch believes that the ECB and other EU authorities would not be willing to provide it with unconditional and unlimited financing. As long as there are political parties questioning the existence of the Eurozone, the risk of Eurozone exit will persist. but stronger institutional underpinnings would make it more resilient to such tail risk. In this respect, progress with Eurozone reform, which addresses the remaining fragilities of the monetary union, has the potential to support rating upgrades in lower-rated sovereigns over time.